In Tragedy, a true crime podcast, we discuss missing persons cases, violent crime, and other sensitive topics that may be difficult for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Our show is a place where every story matters and every voice deserves to be heard. To support this podcast, you can subscribe at www.tragedy@truecrimepodcast.com for early access to new episodes. And join our Facebook community, Tragedy, a True Crime Podcast, for updates, discussions, and ways to support the families we feature. As we continue learning about Cody Haney and his disappearance, we'd like to welcome Chad, his coworker, and Chad's fiance, Kaci, to the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey there.
And before we get into Cody and his disappearance, tell us a little bit about you and your relationship to Cody.
Me and Cody was coworkers, and we were friends. Before we started working together, we were good friends. But we started working together, and we just became closer and started seeing the kind of person he was, and we just got closer.
And I actually knew Cody before me and Chad got together. We used to work together, and then we hung out, and we were good friends as well.
And what would you like people to know about Cody?
He had a big heart. He cared about other people more than he cared about himself. He's a very outdoorsy guy. Happy going, very energetic. He's just overall a good person.
Yeah. Despite what, people might have heard about him or anything, he was a pretty good guy. A good dad, or at least tried to be as the best as he could. He was a good employee from what I know. He's just a good person.
Something that we have found as we've continued this journey is the importance of talking about someone as a person and their heart and their character, as opposed to maybe a decision or behavior that may really stick with them because it's kind of been a bad choice or a negative choice. And we've seen this before in some of our other stories where it feels like maybe someone's disappearance wasn't attended to in the way that we would want it to be because of some behavior that they engaged in. And so that is why it is so important that we are speaking with you and with Selena and with Michelle and everyone really close to Cody, because we want to know about him as a person and not necessarily about some of the choices that he made. So can you tell us, what did a normal work day look like?
It started out at 7:30 every morning. We'd get to work, and I'd usually be there before him. And we'd load up our truck, and we'd go out to people's properties and survey their properties and show them where their property corners are and stuff like that. We were out in the woods a lot. It was pretty hard work, but we had a good time while we were doing it, just because of the friendship.
Yeah. It's nice to work with somebody that you get along with and you can hang out with while you're working.
It's not working.
Yeah. Having fun.
Yeah. There are, so many times in our lives where we don't get to choose our coworkers sometimes, we'll say, right? And so those times when it is fortunate that it's someone that we really click with, and it sounds like you all had a relationship before, which I think really helped a lot. From speaking to Michelle, it seemed like things were going pretty well at work and Cody was doing a great job. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, he was doing a great job. He was actually running the crew that me and him was on. He was in a supervisor position. He was working to run a crew and get a pay raise. So he was very determined on doing that. And pretty much he was a go-getter.
So it would have been unusual for him to like be late or to not show up for work or
Exactly,
something like that. He
exactly.
was on time and all those kinds
Yeah,
of
the
things.
last time
Okay.
the last time I seen him, he said he'd see me at work on Monday.
And was that Friday? That was the 21st was the last time you
That
saw him?
Friday.
No, he
Yeah.
would see you at work Saturday.
Yeah.
Y'all working to work Saturday.
Yeah. So how did it go?
Mm-hmm.
It was on a Saturday or
Yeah,
Friday?
it was a Friday that y'all got off work Friday, and then y'all was going to work extra that Saturday.
Yeah.
Y'all was going to make up more hours.
Mm-hmm.
And he never showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That is what we understand as well, that Friday, typically Selena would pick him up and take him home, and that she was not available. And so he was able to obtain a work truck.
He asked that
and
day
take that on.
to borrow the work
Yep.
truck, and the boss man said it's fine.
Mm-hmm. And then he was going to bring it back Saturday morning, and then you guys would continue
Yes, ma'am.
as normal on Saturday.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So in the days and weeks kind of leading up to these events that happened over the weekend, and we definitely want to get into those events, did you notice anything unusual or different about Cody leading up to this sort of interesting weekend that happened?
Not particularly. I mean, he seemed a little bit troubled about his child, because he's dealing with his child then at that point. But nothing other than that. No, he seemed very strong-willed and wanting to do better.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us what your recollection is about that weekend? So let's just start with Saturday when you showed up and he wasn't there. Sort of what did the rest of that weekend look like for you?
So what had really happened, okay, so he had got home on Friday, Chad had, and he said that they were going to work on Saturday. And it was probably like 7 or something in the morning when Grizz called you and had asked if Chad had heard from Cody, because the truck was there and the door was open. The truck looked like it had been rummaged through Cody's, I believe. Yeah, the window was busted out of the office and Cody's phone was left inside, but there was no sight of Cody. So then, that phone call woke me up and Chad was like explaining everything, and I'm like, well, what the heck? So I texted his mother, Michelle, and I had asked because me and her were also good friends. When me and Cody used to hang out prior, I used to go over to Michelle's house, and we also worked together, small town. And so I had asked her if she had heard from Cody that morning, and she had said no. And I didn't say anything else because I didn't want anybody to get panicked, because I didn't feel at that point in time it was cause for concern. Then about an hour later, she said that she called or texted and had said that she hadn't heard from Cody, that he was supposed to be at work, asking if Chad had heard from him. And that's when I was like, no, Grizz had called earlier and asked if we had heard from Cody, because, the door was left open, his stuff was left there, but no Cody in sight. She was like, well, I can't get a hold of him. Well, Chad ended up not going into work that day because of this mess that had transpired. So, and they couldn't get a hold of Cody still.
Mm-hmm.
We tried calling his friend, who's that? His best friend, the Wagner boy?
Yeah, David.
I guess so.
Josh Wagner.
Josh Wagner, that's who it is. That's his, I guess, longtime childhood best friend, that he was really close with. So we tried getting up with him. We also got up with and said that he hadn't seen him at all either or heard from him. So, this was Saturday.
What day was this?
What?
Yeah.
I'm having a big reaction to that because it's not aligning with kind of what. So let me just clarify. Told you guys on Saturday that
Correct.
he had no contact with Cody.
Yes, that was about Saturday morning. It was before noon for sure.
Because everyone's kind of sort of doing their due diligence to try to figure out what's going on. So we're just sort of for this landscaping company, surveying company.
Was he technically still working there
Okay.
at this point, or was he?
He was he was.
Okay, so are brothers,
Yep.
and they had worked together as well. Well, he didn't show up for work for like a week.
Yeah, and then he showed up, and boss told him to leave.
Yeah, basically he got fired. Well, then John was like, I'm not going to continue to work this job without him, and he ended up still coming, but he freaked out, flipped out, and then after everything that went over the weekend, like into Saturday and then Sunday, and then the police got called and all that stuff, and Michelle ended up getting in contact with. She says she saw them at the gas station and asked if they had heard from Cody, and I guess one of them said no, but then there was a girlfriend in the back who said yes. So it was just really confusing information. And I guess Grizz, the boss man, on Sunday when they all had to meet up there at the shop because the police had been called at this point, because the truck had been missing now. I guess had said that they had been in contact with him. So they lied. Well, I guess Grizz fired for lying because he had seen Cody and like knew at this point where that he had taken the truck. Like it's just a whole mess. And a lot of this information is not out for anybody to really know. And I think everything is just swept under the rug. Like a lot of I feel are important details. Pretty much most of what is out there is that he is a criminal. I mean, at one point they released an article saying that not to approach him because he was dangerous. I mean, if anybody truly knew Cody, like he is not a dangerous person. Like it blew my mind, all the things that we have seen and read about him and what they're posting. And then after that, it just kind of faded away, and I don't know what they're still doing because they haven't really released any more information that I am aware of. But I mean, it's been so long and there's nothing new. It's a mess. It's just a mess.
Here's what I'm gathering from that this lines up with the Saturday and
Yes.
the shop getting broken into, apparently, and Cody's phone, and I believe some clothes were there. And everything was all like,
I think everything was
in the
inside,
truck,
wasn't it?
like neatly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't make sense why the shop would have been broken into because Cody had a key.
And the truck that went missing is not the truck that he borrowed.
Exactly.
The truck that went missing is a different truck. He borrowed one truck, and he was supposed to come back to work Saturday. Well, that truck was back. It was a whole different truck that was taken.
Yeah, I have actually a theory on how that happened, but not something I'm ready to broadcast yet.
I don't even think I know that theory yet. All right.
I've been working on this one.
So kind of keep telling. I think you said something really powerful. And what you said was there are a lot of things that have been swept under the rug or aren't out there because there's this perception of Cody that, is just a part of him rather than him as the whole person. So tell us more about what you think isn't out there. What do people need to know?
So Cody had gotten into some trouble at some point. This was before when Chad and him worked together. He had been doing really good at this point, like he wanted to better his life, be more involved with his son, work toward a brighter future. Now, before all that, he got into a little bit of trouble. And I think when all this stuff had come out, they really took that and ran with it. I know that one point I had been told that he had worked for the police department in I don't know if it was Bluntstown, Panama. I mean, I don't know, but he worked for some sort of police department. So I feel like that had a play in why people weren't believing some things that were said, or I had even tried talking with some of the deputies around town, and they could give only very little information. because I worked at the gas station. I managed there, and the deputies would come in all the time, and I'd be like, hey, what's the updates? Have we heard any updates? And very limited information for sure. I will also say that there is one thing that strike me as really odd. So when his truck, or the work truck that's not the one he was allowed to borrow, but the one that had actually went missing like the next day or whatever, the one that was found in the woods off of like 109 or whatever that road is down there, they said that they took the dogs out there and to try and pick up on scent, and they couldn't pick up on anything out there from what I understood. And it's just crazy to me, because if your dogs are as good as you say they are, then why didn't they pick up on anything out there? They should have picked up on something if he was in that truck.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were told a slightly different story, but still very strange as well, that the dogs picked up on Cody's scent in the truck, but not outside of the truck.
Exactly.
To me, I'm like, how's that possible? He had to have,
yeah,
unless he was never in that truck. That was my theory behind that his scent was in it, because he's probably actually used that work truck before.
We used multiple trucks.
Like, it's just, I mean, I'm no investigator, but sometimes I feel like I should have, chose a different career path. Right.
It's funny. That's been kind of our life since we started this podcast, because it started out as an interesting hobby, then it just
awesome,
blew
truly.
up, and now we do this every week, sometimes multiple times during the week.
So I'll just talk a little bit about kind of where I am sitting with this right now, and maybe you can all respond to that. Like, I don't have really any hard evidence to prove that this story that we're being told from whatever happened starting, let's say, Saturday morning until Tuesday is like accurate, right? I mean, we do know that there is some sort of footage from a Dollar General where we do see Cody.
I was told that by one of the deputies, that at some point, I can't remember if it was, I think I was told days before he had supposedly went missing or went on the run or whatever they're trying to say he did, that he had purchased like a new phone. I also was told by one of the deputies, mind you, this deputy no longer works in Liberty County, so I'm not quite sure how true or, valuable this information is, but they said that they could not pick up anything on any of the cameras except for the subway camera. The camera at the subway, they saw one of the trucks. I can't remember if it was truck or the work truck, but they saw all the boys in it together. Cody, they had drove like by the subway, and it had picked up on one of the subway cameras.
Do you remember them saying like a date or time on that at all?
I think it might have been Saturday, but I truly cannot remember because it was so long ago. I'm sure if I could go back in my messages, because I have this group chat with a couple girls, my friends, and we're like FBI agents up in there. Like we were on this whole kick for weeks, just like, well, what if this happened? Or what if this happened? Well, this is what I heard. Well, this is what we heard. Like, just back and forth and back and forth. So I'm sure I could like remember some, crazy things in there if I went back.
Yeah, when we talk to Selena, she'll say something, and you'll hear it. She says, "Oh, at 1:32 they said blah 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 blah." Like, she is keeping all the receipts. This girl, she hasn't gotten rid of anything.
No.
And we also heard something about a picture of a truck coming across the bridge from Calhoun County.
That's right.
But we don't know the date, we don't know the time, we don't know which truck, and we don't know like who was in it.
Right.
But this image of the truck in the subway is a new one for us.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. There are a lot of similarities between Cody's disappearance and Ian Rogers' who's been missing out of Wakulla County.
Mm-hmm.
We have similar things with trucks being captured on cameras, but you can't really tell who's in there.
Right.
We have this similar idea of the sheriff's office saying, don't approach this person, they're dangerous, because they said the same thing about Ian. We have them similarly going missing, potentially with Cody and definitely with Ian, in a work truck.
And we have 2 businesses that did not put any kind of GPS trackers on their work trucks.
Yeah.
And I just thought of something else that I thought was kind of weird. So Saturday at some point in the morning, after Grizz, which is the boss who owns the surveying place, after, they had found out that, Cody's, all his belongings were left, he had asked Chad if he knew what Cody's PIN code was to get into Cody's phone. And I just find that really weird because why do you need that?
And as it turns out, if I'm getting it correctly, this was actually Selena's phone.
Yes.
Right. She tells us how she, I think, took the SIM card. I don't really understand how the phones work, but he was in the process of getting a new phone or something like that.
Yes.
And she went up there and she got her hands on that phone. But then I think it ended up getting turned over to the sheriff's office. But she did have it for a short time and of course was looking to see what was on that phone too.
I don't know if we ever got into it because I remember we was trying to figure out how to get into it. And we could not figure out what the PIN was. I remember a deputy saying they couldn't get into the phone because they had to figure out how to get somebody that could tap into it because they didn't have the PIN for it. I literally remember somebody saying that it was his lunch number from school. So I literally called up to the school. I don't know if I should even put this on here, but I called up to the school, and I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I had them look into file and find out what Cody's lunch number was, and I gave that information to Michelle to give to the police so that they were able to get into the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they ever did.
And did they tell you what they found? You never got
no information. Knows. I even told one of the deputies that I had given that information to Michelle and that she said she was going to take it to the police, and he couldn't give me any information, so he just looked at me. And I was like,
what do you guys think? What do you think happened? Let's just start with Saturday morning. I know you've kicked these ideas around, talked with your girlfriends. What's your suspicion?
I think after all this time has passed by and just the chain of events that happened, so right after all this happened, ended up in jail for possession of drugs, left the state and moved to Georgia, and I find that very odd.
Called me.
Yes.
Stressing out that one.
I do. So there was a post on the Panhandle Sip and Chat, which is a group that this local Miss Kyra, she had created. And there's thousands of people in surrounding counties in this group. And it's called the Panhandle Sip and Chat. And somebody had posted about if there was any more information on Cody, because they hadn't heard anything for a while. And I had put a comment on there about, and I guess he had saw the comment because he called Chad shortly after that, later on that day, and was freaking out, asking Chad why I was posting all this stuff with his name in there and all this. And to me, I just thought that, if you had nothing to worry about, then why are you freaking out? And so I think are liars.
Yep.
Straight up. I think that they had something to do with this, and it's just a
altercation or something.
Yeah, they had supposedly gotten to an altercation that day, and didn't somebody say something about Cody backed into their truck or something like that? And I think it just got maybe taken too far, or they set him up. I truly don't know what exactly happened, but I do think that they are behind this, and the truth will come out eventually. Just for peace of mind for his family's sake, he has siblings and he has a son, and I think that they truly had something to do with him going missing, whether he's alive or not. You know, like, who knows? But who goes missing for this long? And I know for a fact he would have some way contacted his mom. I for sure know that. And just the fact that he has not is just very alarming. But I truly think that then definitely had something to do with all of this. And they're not speaking on it. And if it was one of them, I'm sure their family would like to know, you know, if the roles were reversed.
And do you feel like there are leads or rumors that you have heard about that have not been fully investigated?
Yes, I'm sure that there is. What was that thing that somebody had said something not long ago? It was a few months ago. I heard it at the gas station. It was something about saying that, like, somebody had brought up some sort of information about how something went wrong and they had killed Cody and buried him, and then they planted the truck somewhere and then moved his body. They planted the truck down there at like 109 so that they could move his body elsewhere, like as a setup or something like that. And like, I mean, it's just the rumor mill, you know, like it's going to continue, and, you know, until we get some information or answers. But I mean, who knows what's true? I mean, literally, there's three sides to every story, you know, his, hers, theirs, and, you know, whatever, and the true side. So, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever know. I hope we do, and I hope we find out more information, or, you know, peace of mind, just anything, any kind of information, just a sliver would be, you know, helpful for Cody's family. I mean, I can't imagine, like, one of my kids go missing. Like, I have 3 kids of my own, and I just could not imagine that.
What do you think is, let's walk down the path of these two guys have something to do with it. What are the pieces that are missing? What do you think the Liberty County Sheriff's Office might need to be able to?
I think they're biased. I think that they, you know, I heard that failed a lie detector, polygraph, whatever you call those. I feel like that right there, like, what were the questions that were asked, you know, that caused them to fail it? You know, were they important questions? You know, was it vital information, or was it just stupid questions? You know, like, I mean, I don't know, because there's just, like I said, there has not been very much information surfaced. And the things that we do know, anything that you look up is, oh, he's a fugitive, he's wanted for this, he's wanted for that. Well, what about, you know, like, all this shady stuff that happened that weekend? Like, how come that's not, like, you got like me, the things that I've heard, the things that I, you know because of, you know, what I've seen, or the things that I've heard when on Chad's phone calls with the boss man, or, you know, he worked directly at that office or at that shop. So he knew a lot of information. You know, when the truck was found, one of the other guys that worked there called Chad and was like, hey, yo, like, they found the truck. And Chad was like, no way. And we saw the truck and what it looked like. And it just, I mean, it was beat up, but it didn't look like, I mean, it looked like it was intentionally beat up, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I have my suspicions and my own opinions. I think that the police department could do better, but I think that they are so wrapped up in catching all these people for doing drugs around here that they are missing out on important cases like this. Any important case, I mean, there's been multiple missing people around here. This lady was found in, like, the marsh down the river after she had been missing for, like, what, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
No, this was,
Is that Lacey?
yes, it was a different
Lacey
lady
Hammonds? Is it a
She
different one?
lived right down the road by the Bristol boat landing in
Wow.
a camper down there. And she went missing, and then next thing you know, they had found her in the marsh up the river. And then there's Lacey Ammons that was, found in a ditch in Hosford. And then there was Carla Alvarez that was found over there in Bluntstown in her truck that was sunk in water. She was found like floating in the car. Her truck was supposedly put in park. They think that she had ran through this gate. Like, it's just, and we don't know any more information on that case either. Like, so much stuff has happened. Somebody's Tesla was found in a freaking hunting lease down Turkey Creek Road with nobody in it. And the man that had it is missing. Still never found him. No more information on that case. Like, they don't care about anything other than people doing drugs around here, I feel.
That's the guy from Louisiana, right? The Tesla. Yes. I'm hearing all these kinds of things.
Yes.
We just heard about this
Yeah.
one.
And it's good, right? Like, this is what we want to know. We want to hear what's going on in our neighboring counties and maybe put our heads together and see if we can make some headway on some of these things. I think
Agreed.
is the idea.
I'll tell you what, all this stuff will make you not want to move to Bristol.
We're just about to head back to Crawfordville, so maybe we got to reconsider.
But this stuff's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I know. It's just because it's a small town, so it's close to home. It's close to everybody because everybody knows everybody and everybody's family around here. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That happened to us. The first case that we covered is the Jody Kilgore unsolved homicide in Wakulla County, and that's Michael's uncle. And we would be talking to people, about the next case, which was Ian Rogers, and then someone would go, "Hold on, before you guys hang up, we want to tell you what we know about Jody Kilgore, because I know, his mom cut my hair or whatever."
right.
And I'm from a big metro area. I'm from the Denver area, and so this is just wild to me. Like, somebody will just grab the phone from somebody. "Oh, wait, we want to tell you about this because we babysat so and so's
Yes.
dog groomers, whatever."
It's truly
and
crazy.
that, to me, like, it seems so strange to me that when you have these tight-knit communities and people know what's going on, why aren't we solving these things? Right? Like, why does it take so long to find Ian Rogers' truck? Why do we not know where he is? Why do we not know where Cody is? Why do we not know who killed Jody Kilgore? Like, people talk all the time. So what's missing?
Literally.
And what's crazy is, we've broadcast quite a bit on a lot of these different, cases, but it would be shocking for you guys to know how much people tell us that we never record.
Yeah.
And that's super common. And so, yeah, it goes right back to what Elisa's saying. The information's right there. What are we waiting on?
Yeah.
Literally. Like, you can't tell me that, like, after all this time, nobody knows anything. Like, I just don't believe it.
Particularly with what we're supposed to believe is one of the last people to see him is currently incarcerated. So this person is easy to access. We don't need to figure out where they are.
We know exactly where he is.
So let's ask him. I'm going to need to do my little investigation. This is easy to actually find out. You just have to go to clerk of the courts, and you can
literally,
also go
girl,
to any Florida.
I swear, I live on that website.
Yeah. And they'll tell you, like, who's incarcerated where, when is their release date. So,
Yep.
I mean, I can definitely check that out, because that is of concern to me. If he's no longer incarcerated and has been released from there, but is probably someone who knows a lot about this information, he's just going to be able to just walk away and probably move states.
Literally. Honestly. I mean, I literally, like, I was looking for them one time, like was it me and Kelly?
Yeah.
I think it was me and my sister-in-law. We literally, like, drove around and we were, like, looking for their vehicles. Like, we're like, where do they live? Like, something suspicious. Like, I want to see if he even did back in, because they said that Cody was in the work truck and, like, they got into an altercation at the job, Saturday morning or Sunday or whatever, the day that Cody took the truck or whatever, because Cody had, like, backed into whatever. So we were like, okay, well, let's see this truck. So we literally got in our car and we don't know where these boys live. But I mean, Bristol and 1 sounds small enough. We'll figure it out. We were literally driving roads, like trying to see, like, okay, this is what truck he supposedly has. I've seen it at the job. Let's go see if we can find it. Driving just down all these roads, trying to see if we can find it. Googling, like their names to see who they're related to see like the parcels, to see who lives where at what address. I'm telling
Oh my
you,
God. We do all that. Yep.
I'm telling
I
you.
have a Ben Verified account, and then we have a very close friend who is in the real estate business, and we'll just be like, "Hey," and then we can get we are doing similar things, I think.
Yes.
It seems like. To talk more about, you're the first people who have said anything about some potential not crashing of the truck, but backing up of the truck. Can you tell us more about what you've heard?
So I don't know, how did that part even come up? Because I truly don't remember.
I'm not sure either.
Somebody had said something. Was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was. Somebody had said something. I'm trying to Google it on my phone to see if I can find it. Something about an altercation. And I'm pretty sure I don't know if it was because he supposedly backed into his truck, or if he they got into the altercation and then he tried to speed up out of there and hit his truck and fled, and that's what they were saying. I can't truly remember, but I'm sure it's in these messages, girl.
Can you tell us if Cody hung out with these guys a lot, or if it was unusual for him to spend what feels like to be an extended amount of time with them?
It was new, because they started working with us later on, so it was new that he was hanging out with them. That was the first time.
Yeah, that's the sense we get as well. To me, this feels like super obvious, unless we're missing something that just hasn't been brought to us. When we have talked about some of our other cases, particularly with Ian, where there were several different directions we were thinking about. And in this one, I mean,
this is a pretty clear direction for me as well. So one of the things, we've done this already, but we haven't gotten a response back yet, but we're already reaching out to law enforcement. And one of the things we're doing is we're putting all this together and compiling all the information, what's similar, and we're going to send it to them and say, okay, what's going on? And what needs to be communicated out to the family. And so what we've learned through this journey we've taken, even just creating this podcast, is, putting pressure on law enforcement is something that first of all, does work, but you have to be very consistent about it. You have to do it all the time. You cannot let up. Even some of the, various experts we've had on the show have indicated the same idea. They're like, just stay on it and don't let their apathy get you to go away. Mm-hmm. Because what happened, it's like I said, we've been pretty consistent with this now, as we've been able to get these cases elevated, even to the national level.
And that's great.
And so that's what we intend to do with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So one last thing I did for sure want to mention, about the deputies, just in the investigation, just how they went about doing all this. I find it very weird that in the midst of all this, supposedly for at least Saturday and Sunday, until finally fessed up to saying that they had been around Cody. I will say that the police never once, questioned Chad about, how Cody was, or when he last saw him, or he was one of the last people as well to have seen Cody. They worked together Friday, and then Chad went home, and Cody had supposedly went home, or wherever he truly went. And they never questioned Chad. Chad, I don't think, ever got brought up. I don't know if that could have been, he could have given any information, but they
didn't put the effort in.
Exactly. I would have, been contacting anybody that had been seen with him or had been around him in the last, however many days, 48 hours, the first 48, you know what I'm saying? And I just think it's crazy. Yes. I just think it's crazy they
We
did not
watch
try
all
to
the same
contact
shows.
Chad at all.
Yes, we see something similar again with Ian in Wakulla County, that the person that his girlfriend at the time that he went missing, that he was actually living with, is not someone that the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office spoke with, at least initially. In fact, from what I remember her saying, they never actually even went to her house to see where he was living. And there's some sort of belief that he was in his work truck in the driveway. They never went and talked to the people who were at the house that day that Ian went missing to find out if that was accurate.
Like, and I mean, maybe that's just, I mean, who knows if it's like missed information, but I mean, you never know until you talk to that person. There could have been some sort of missed information, and you just never know. But who knows? I'm no investigator.
I'm actually thinking about getting my private investigator license. I
Do
don't really know what
it.
it takes. I think I can just, I'm sure there's some, buy a diploma thing
Right.
and something like that.
Well, I would say that's pretty far from the truth, but that's not what this episode's about.
All right. As we kind of wrap, anything else that you wanted to talk about that, has maybe come to you while we've been talking now? Just any, like you had said earlier, any sliver of information could be the information that is needed.
Exactly. In this moment, I can't think of anything that I haven't already said, but I'm sure that I will think of something after we get off this podcast of like, oh my gosh, I didn't mention this. I should have mentioned that. I know it'll happen.
Yeah.
Just even if it's just things that like I thought of back then, a year or a half ago when all this was going on, It was just so much crazy stuff going on in that whole moment, like for just weeks. And then it kind of just like dissipated, and that was it. Like, and then, I mean, you haven't heard any other information, right?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither.
You've been listening to Tragedy, a true crime podcast. Our purpose is to honor victims by sharing their stories through the voices of friends, family, and those whose lives were forever changed. If today's episode resonated with you, we encourage you to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast so these important stories continue to be heard. Together, we can preserve their memories and ensure their voices are never forgotten. If you have ideas for cases we should cover or questions about what you heard, you can connect with us through our Facebook group, Tragedy, a True Crime Podcast, on X @Tragedy Podcast, by email at tragedyaTrueCrimePodcast@gmail.com, or by visiting our website, www.tragedyaTrueCrimePodcast.com. Thank you for listening, and we hope you'll join us next time.